He was betrayed by his teammates and thrown into the most dangerous dungeon. Everyone thought he would die, but it was here that a level 9,999 Overlord began to rise. The world of fantasy was home to 9 races who interacted, though not always in harmony. A human boy named Light dreamed of becoming an adventurer to help his struggling family. With high hopes, he applied to the Adventurers Guild. During registration, Light revealed his unique blessing, called Limited Gacha, but the result was far from what he'd hoped for. Instead of a valuable item, he received only a rotten apple and moldy bread. Because of this, Light had to start from the lowest rank, taking on only menial jobs like gathering firewood or hauling goods. His pay was meager, barely enough for a simple inn-room. One day, after a long shift, Light was ambushed by a group of Beast race members who not only harassed him, but stole all his hard-earned money. In his despair, an elf woman named Shasha appeared and helped him. Shasha belonged to the Union of Races, a faction that aimed to unite the 9 races and end discrimination. They happened to need a human member at the time, so Light was recruited. At first, everyone in the faction treated Light kindly, but during a joint dungeon expedition, their attitude suddenly changed. Without clear reason, Light was expelled from the party. The truth was, they had only recruited him to keep a close watch. Their superiors suspected Light might be a master due to his unique blessing. But if he wasn't, they planned to eliminate him. They attacked Light mercilessly, then intended to blame monsters for his death. Light crawled away, but suddenly fell into a teleportation trap that sent him deep into the dungeon's heart. He survived the assassination attempt, but the betrayal left a deep wound in his heart. Filled with hatred and rage, Light vowed revenge. Unfortunately, the area around him was swarming with high-level monsters, incredibly dangerous. With a fierce will to survive, Light faced the approaching monsters and used his limited gacha blessing once more. This time, luck was on his side. For the first time, he drew a rare SSR-ranked summon card. When activated, it summoned a maid of extraordinary power named May. Effortlessly, May wiped out the monsters around Light without even touching him. After defeating the enemies, May approached Light, he knelt, and healed his wounds with incredible skill. Light was shocked and confused. May then addressed him as Master and asked permission to introduce herself. She explained she was the manifestation of an ultra-rare card from his limited gacha blessing. Light found it hard to believe at first, but May assured him the blessing was not useless. The probability of drawing rare items was heavily influenced by the surrounding magical energy concentration, and the dungeon's depths was saturated with it. Once he understood, Light told May of the betrayal he'd suffered and his desire for revenge. May declared her readiness to help, but Light chose to take revenge with his own hands. He asked May to help him grow stronger. 3 years later, Light had established a kingdom in the deepest part of the abyss. His blessing allowed him to summon hundreds of maids, citizens, and high-level troops. He also had loyal followers like Nazuna, an immensely powerful close quarters combatant. One day, Light was sparring with Jack, one of his followers, though it resembled a real fight. Meanwhile, Nazuna was patrolling the palace when several maids asked her to check a room being cleaned by the head maid. Upon inspection, Nazuna found signs someone had been rolling on Light's bed, but May claimed it was a special bed-making technique. Nazuna accepted the explanation without suspicion. Nazuna then relayed a message from other maids who complained that May monopolized cleaning Light's room. May recognized the subtle sarcasm, but remained calm and gave Nazuna a reward. That same day, Nazuna met Orki, who acted cat-like and avoided her questions. Later, Nazuna continued her patrol to the treasury. Missing Light, she leaned on the throne and accidentally broke a statue beside it. Meanwhile, May summoned the maids' turns to her room and questioned their intent. They claimed they only wanted to lighten her workload, but when asked about a cursed word in their message, they couldn't answer. May punished them by making them clean the corridors manually. Elsewhere, Nazuna met Eli. Though they seemed friendly, their relationship was actually strained due to constant teasing. The discontented maids began plotting ways to get access to Light's room, even considering poisoning May. But that was impossible. May's level was far higher, and she was immune to poison. They ended up complaining behind her back, unaware May could hear everything. Initially, May considered reducing their punishment, but after seeing their insolence, she increased it, ordering them to clean the throne room by hand. Nazuna felt satisfied with her duty of keeping peace in the abyss, but she still longed to see Light. The next day, she quarreled with Eli again. Just then, Light appeared, preparing to go to the surface to meet the first target of his revenge. 3 years ago, Kinigaro, a member of the Union of Races, had enjoyed the rewards of disposing of Light, whom he saw as a weak brat. He gained a good position and plenty of money, though he was slightly unsettled that Light's body was never found. Still, Kinigaro believed survival was impossible. While Kinigaro was meeting his associates, Mei suddenly appeared. She introduced herself as Light's maid and mentioned that Light was actually descended from a noble lineage. Kinigaro grew suspicious, but was tempted by the promise of money. Mei asked him to lead her to Light's last known location, offering 3 gold bars as payment. Kinigaro accepted, thinking Mei was just a human woman, no threat. Secretly, he planned to assault her afterward. At the location, Kinigaro recounted how Light was attacked by monsters and vanished due to a teleportation trap. Mei responded by saying it was tragic, her master had been betrayed and tortured in that dark place. Her statement put Kinigaro on guard, since only a handful should have known those details. Mei then released an overwhelming, intimidating aura, making Kinigaro tremble. Soon after, Light appeared and calmed Mei. His arrival shocked Kinigaro, who then laughed, thinking Light was still as weak as before. Kinigaro was confident he wouldn't lose, boasting superior level and numbers. But when his underlings attacked, Mei instantly beheaded them all. Even seeing Mei's power, Kinigaro still underestimated Light. He and his companions attacked again, but Light easily defeated them with mere swings of his magic staff. Kinigaro refused to give up. He summoned his trump card, a level 500 magical beast named Venra. When the beast attacked, Light intentionally took the hit to show it was ineffective. He then revealed the real Fenrir, a level 9000 god wolf. With a single breath, Fenrir easily defeated Kinigaro's beast. Light then revealed his own immensely high level. Seeing this, Kinigaro was filled with despair and begged for mercy. Before taking revenge, Light asked what a master was and whether his current power was enough to fight the kingdoms outside. Kinigaro honestly replied that Light was strong but couldn't rival them alone. Hearing that, Light took Kinigaro to his palace to show the military force he'd built over 3 years. Seeing Light's powerful army and followers, Kinigaro was speechless. Light began his revenge by subjecting Kinigaro to repeated suffering worse than death. 2.5 years after leaving the Abyss, Light discovered his village had been destroyed by an unknown party, likely connected to the search for a master. Though he found no bodies, he felt a faint sense of peace. Now, Light returned to the surface with a small party, heading to the region of Dagas. Their goal was to register at the Adventurers Guild, raise their rank, and gather information. On the road, they saw a man being attacked by dwarves. Light stepped in and defeated them. The rescued man turned out to be an innkeeper. In gratitude, he escorted Light's party to the city of Dagas. At the guild, Light witnessed humans still being mistreated by other races. During registration, he had to start again from the bottom rank. Nimimu protested, the rules couldn't be changed. After registering, Light stayed at the inn of the man he'd helped. He requested the top floor room with a condition that no one, including staff, could enter. In return, Light paid an enormous fee. In the room, Nimimu suggested Light have his followers handle their objectives. But this only angered him. He thought she was trying to steal his chance for revenge. Afraid of his hatred, Nimimu quickly apologized and reaffirmed her oath of loyalty. A few days later, Light's party began gaining a good reputation. While queuing to enter a dungeon, 2 elves cut in line. No one dared to speak up, except Light. He stopped them, backed by Gold and Nimimu. The elves were furious and prepared to attack, but backed down after being persuaded by a companion. Many praised Light's actions, feeling the elves deserved it for their habitual condescension. The party that had been cut off thanked Light. One asked if Gold's necklace was real gold. Nimimu firmly said no, gold was too soft for practical jewelry. Meanwhile, Light's party drew attention for not carrying much camping gear, unlike others. This was because each dungeon floor was far more expansive. Soon, Light's party was allowed entry. They descended a narrow staircase, but upon reaching the next floor, the scenery opened into a vast, otherworldly landscape. Light used a rare card granting clear vision and flight. Elsewhere, an elf named Kaito, still resentful from being insulted by a human, was hunting monsters in the dungeon. Kaito claimed to be a master's descendant, level 1500, there to experiment with leveling. Toward evening, Light saw Ilio's party surrounded by monsters. Though they were holding their own, Light intervened because a dangerous serpent was lurking. Shortly after, a pack of wolves fled from a giant mantis that should have been defeated a decade earlier. Ilio planned to flee, but Light chose to face it. As the mantis approached, Gold launched the first strike, followed by Light's fire magic, cast without incantation. Sadly, the attacks had no effect. In front of the other adventurers, Gold gave a lesson on timing, counterattacks, and using a shield as an offensive tool. Then Light used controllable fire, arrow magic to strike with precision. Hit by consecutive attacks, the mantis tried to flee, but Light blocked its path with a wall of fire. Nemumu finished it off as it flew. After the battle, Light cleaned off grime with water magic from Mia. Elio's party invited Light and his companions to camp and share dinner. 2 weeks passed, and word spread about Light's party defeating the giant mantis. They grew increasingly popular, especially among human adventurers. People began calling them the Black Pandir, seen as a symbol of hope that humans could surpass other races. Other races, however, were displeased and dismissed the achievement as a lie. That day, Light planned to head to the dungeon's 5th floor. While flying through the expanse, they accidentally met Elio's party again. Maya seized the chance to give Light a burn ointment from her grandmother's recipe. Light was delighted and in return gifted Mia a prayer knot bracelet, a precious SSR item. They then parted ways. Light proceeded to the 5th floor, a silent, snow-covered region. Upon arrival, Gold and Nemumu were ordered to hunt Yetis, while Light teleported to his palace to prepare the next phase of his revenge. Eli reported that preparations were nearly complete. Light grew impatient, eager to see the look of despair on Shasha's face. Meanwhile, on the dungeon's 3rd floor, an adventurer party was ambushed by Kaito. Brutally, he slaughtered them, leaving only one survivor. That adventurer threw a smoke bomb and fled, but was captured and used as an experiment. Nemumu turned in their hunt to the guild and demanded Light's rank be raised, but the clerk stated Light needed one more major achievement. To qualify, Light took on a difficult mission to find the adventurer killer. At the same time, Mia was suddenly teleported to the inn, severely wounded and unconscious. Light immediately healed her and read her memories to learn what happened. Earlier, Elio had been warned about the adventurer killer. They planned to leave the dungeon, but exhaustion forced them to stop. Soon after, Kaito approached. Thinking Kaito was a normal adventurer, Elio warned him about the killer and urged him to leave. Instead, Kaito drew his sword, admitting he was the killer they sought. Elio told Mia to escape while he and the others bought time. But Kaito was too strong, they were slaughtered. Maya failed to get away. After the others died, Kaito intended to use her for experiments. Though gravely injured, Elio didn't give up. Remembering Gold's lessons, he fought back and managed to knock Kaito down. Being struck and scorned by a human enraged Kaito, he attacked Elio with blazing fury, but his companion held him back, suggesting they chase Maya. With little chance, Mia chose to fight with area magic while trying to flee. In her final moments, she prayed silently to inform Light. Thanks to the bracelet he'd given her, her wish was granted. She was teleported to the inn. This terrified Kaito, who feared Mia would report to the guild and bring the White Knights to punish him. Not long after, Light, Gold, and Nemumu arrived at the massacre site. Seeing the slaughtered adventurers filled Light with rage, but he chose not to report it. He intended to take revenge personally. His words provoked Kaito, who leaped forward, attacking with his treasured sword. Calmly, Light blocked the strike with his magic staff. Kaito swung with all his might, but not a single blow landed. Light countered by striking Kaito's stomach, forcing him to his knees in pain. Kaito then unleashed the power of his sword Grandius, but Light evaded and deflected the attack with ice magic. Cornered, Kaito boasted of being a master's descendant. Hearing this, Light changed his plan, deciding to take Kaito and his companion Yanak to the abyss to extract information from their minds. As a researcher, Yanak wasn't skilled in combat, but he possessed a monstrous hybrid creature from his insane experiments. Just the sight of it disgusted Light. He ordered his followers to free the experiment's victims. Gold brought the creature down with one slash, but it regenerated. Nemumu joined Gold, and together they launched a combined attack that annihilated the monster completely. Meanwhile, Light continued fighting Kaito. Cornered, Kaito used the power of Gradius to enhance his sword strikes. Light dodged each blow while observing. Kaito thought one hit would be enough to kill his opponent, but Light deliberately let himself be struck to show it was useless. In contrast, a light tap from Light shattered the Gradius power. Light then kicked Kaito's head, sending him flying. The attack broke Kaito's will. He knelt and begged for mercy. Light gave him one more chance. Fight again and he'd be freed if he could even scratch Light's face. But Kaito was too afraid and tried to run. Light stopped him by shooting his leg. Then, Light brought Kaito and Yannick to the abyss. Both struggled to believe they'd been taken to the world's largest and most infamous dungeon. Soon, 4 more of Light's followers approached. When Light explained that Kaito and Yannick were the killers who experimented on humans, Li and the others glared with intimidating pressure. Yannick tried to defend himself, claiming to be a victim, while Kaito blamed Yannick for deceiving him with promises of leveling up. Light refused to listen. He intended to execute them as they had executed others. Maya woke and asked about her friends. Light told her Ilio was fine, but his 2 companions hadn't survived. Hearing this, Mia couldn't hold back her tears. Meanwhile, having completed the mission to find the adventurer killer, Light's party earned a recommendation to rise to rank C. Light then met with Mei and Ili to discuss the next phase of revenge. After searching Kaito's mind with forbidden magic, they learned the term Submaster referred to a master's blood relative with an advantage in leveling up. Beyond that, Eli reported they could now begin their revenge against Shasha. Currently, Shasha was engaged to a member of the White Knights. Their first step was to capture that knight to lure Shasha and gather more information about masters. One day, while riding a carriage, Shasha spotted someone who looked exactly like Light. She chased him into an alley, but he vanished. There she found a letter from Light, stating he'd wait for her in a certain tower. Learning Light was alive panicked Shasha. She'd taken money and been betrothed to Mikhail after being credited with killing Light. Meanwhile, in the Elf Kingdom's palace garden, White Knights were relaxing over tea. Some young elves were seen torturing humans and toying with a human woman. Bored, they decided to kill her. It was a small glimpse of the White Knight's cruelty. As they gathered, the White Knight commander chastised Sharphat for playing with human women to preserve the purity of elf blood. Historically, elves had the highest concentration of master blood, and they were forbidden from tainting that precious, fading lineage. That night, a strange phenomenon occurred near the forest. Suddenly, a tall tower appeared, shaking the kingdom. The tower was created by Eli as a stage for Light's revenge. Since its appearance, shipments to the city were disrupted by giant monsters around it. As a result, any information about the tower was worth a large reward. While Light and other adventurers queued at the quest board, 2 elves were drawn to Nemumu's beauty. They tried to charm her into leaving her party and joining them. Nemumu refused firmly, declaring loyalty only to Master Light. Light also stated he wouldn't hand her over. She was a valuable companion. Offended, the elves attacked, but Light deflected their strikes with magic cast without incantation. Instantly, everyone realized he was Light of the Black Pandair. Elsewhere, a group of elves approached the tower, using a human child as bait. Soon, the elves were eaten by monsters, while the child was saved by Light's subordinates. At the tower's peak, Eli was chatting with Orki. During their conversation, they argued over a difference of opinion, but the mood lightened when Orki got distracted by her duties. That same night, Shasha contemplated entering the tower. She felt pressured knowing monsters over level 1000 roamed the forest, but was determined to go and finish Light. She hired 2 adventurers to scout the tower and coincidentally met Light. As she approached to confirm his identity, Shasha removed her mask, but Light used illusion magic to keep his face hidden. Meanwhile, the 2 elves who had targeted Nemumu watched Light, intending to kill him. Noticing this, Light and his followers lured them into the forest. Deep in the woods, Light summoned Mera, who devoured both elves alive. Soon after, Ice hit, Suzu, and Jack arrived to escort Light. They advised against flying due to many adventurers nearby. At first they walked without issue, but when Jack called Light his beloved little brother, the others grew angry, considering it disrespectful. Jack didn't think so. He saw Light as a brother, so Light wouldn't feel lonely. Light asked Jack not to provoke the others, calming them by saying he understood Jack's nature. They continued, the atmosphere still awkward, until Gold smoothed things over. Soon, they arrived before the tower. Nozuna and others warmly welcomed Light. They entered the tower, built by Eli using magical power. It was impenetrable from outside, and inside were dragons and high-level monsters. This was where Light would carry out his revenge. Eli added they would use the White Knights, the Elf Kingdom's strongest military force, to test their strength in real combat. Afterward, they'd capture a White Knight and force the Elf Kingdom to reveal information about masters. During the plan, Eli also prepared a shadow clone of Light to carry out guild tasks and raise the Black Pandair's rank. Meanwhile, Orki guided Shasha toward the tower. The closer they got, the more they encountered ferocious monsters and roaming dragons. That night, Shasha reported everything to elf officials. At first, no one believed her, But when one official mentioned her account matched the Black Panda's reports, they took her seriously. The officials planned to send the White Knights to the tower. Shasha wanted to join and was appointed as guide on condition she borrow her father's heirloom to avoid burdening the team. The next day, the White Knights set out with Shasha. They traversed the forest to enter the tower. Upon arrival, the commander activated silent magic to muffle sound and enter undetected. But once inside, all members were separated by teleportation traps. Separated, Nia and Kia agreed to find the commander, but were immediately blocked by Mera and Ice Hit. Mera remarked that the little elf before her wasn't strong enough to be called an enemy. Insulted, Nia and Kia attacked in a rage. Elsewhere, Sharpat encountered Suzu. As an elf who enjoyed toying with human women, Sharpat was instantly drawn to Suzu's beauty. But Suzu had no interest. She only liked men with qualities like lights. Rejected, Sharpat refused to back down. After failing to charm her, he tried to take Suzu by force, firing a transparent arrow. Suzu deflected the attack and instantly countered. Meanwhile, Nia and Kia kept attacking with wind magic, but not a single strike landed. Outside the tower, Light's shadow clone carried out adventurer duties, fighting monsters that threatened others. Nia and Kia kept firing wind spells relentlessly, even managing to slice Mera's leg. This made them feel superior, but in truth Mera and Ice Hit were feigning weakness to gauge their strength. They then revealed their level 7, 777. At that level, they didn't need to dodge. The attacks were meaningless. Ice Hit began showing her true power, unleashing fire that could burn anything around the tower. Elsewhere, Sharpat insulted Light in front of Suzu. Furious, she attacked Sharpat with full force, bringing him to death's door. Even as he lay dying, she vented her anger by stomping on him. Fortunately, her intelligent weapon, or perhaps a companion, snapped her out of it before she killed him. The next match was between Jack and Must. Facing each other, Jack revealed his level 777. Must didn't believe it, thinking it a bluff. Unable to use identification skills, Must assumed he just needed to defeat his opponent. He attacked first with an absolute strike, but Jack deflected Musty's spear bare-handed. With just a flick, Jack sent Most flying. Must began to think Jack's level might be real, but as a White Knight, he felt he couldn't lose. Must didn't give up, choosing to unleash his ultimate move even if it wounded himself. Sadly, it had no effect on Jack. When Jack counterattacked, Musty was immediately brought to death's door. Next, it was Nazuna against the commander, Hardy. Nazuna knew Hardy was the elves' strongest knight, while Hardy knew nothing of her. But whoever his opponent, Hardy was confident he couldn't lose. Since her opponent hadn't moved, Nazuna decided to strike first. With one slash, she cut through Hardy's sword and body, bringing him to the brink of death. Her attack also shattered the tower wall, making Eli furious at her. Thanks to Eli's magical formula, Hardy survived. Moreover, being skilled in intermediate healing magic, Hardy managed to rise again, healing his own body. Having felt his opponent's strength, Hardy began fighting seriously. He used silent magic, which erased sound and absorbed the enemy's power to fuel his own. With one punch, Nazuna defeated Hardy once more. Still, she was scolded because her attack had damaged the tower. After a long walk, Shasha and her fiancé Mikhail finally reached the top floor. As they opened the gate, they were greeted by Light. At first, Shasha didn't recognize him. She thought he was just an adventurer she'd met before. But when Light removed his mask, she panicked. She realized the man before her was the one she'd betrayed. Light stated he still felt the pain of that betrayal and intended to take revenge on Shasha. Unlike Shasha, Mikhail saw this as a chance to improve his standing at court by defeating Light and stealing the tower's technology. Shasha remained as arrogant as ever, boasting her level had surpassed 500 and looking down on Light for being human. She also possessed Ocarina, a phantom class artifact capable of summoning angelic power. Light acknowledged Ocarina had strong offensive power, but was surprised its defense was equally formidable. Still, such an artifact was no match for him. Light easily defeated 3 summoned angels with combined magic. However, since the artifact could summon angels repeatedly, Light began to struggle and decided to destroy the artifact first. Unfortunately, his attack failed because Mikhail shielded Shasha with an impenetrable barrier. Feeling superior, Shasha hurled taunts as if Light were already cornered and desperate. Hearing them, Light laughed. In return for amusing him, Light said he would teach Shasha the true meaning of despair. Without hesitation, Light released the first stage of his absolute soul. With that power, enemy attacks no longer affected him. They instead rebounded, destroying the attacker. Shasha used Ocarina again, this time summoning an Archangel and unleashing its strongest weapon against Light. Yet even the Archangel's mightiest strike couldn't kill Light. He was completely immune and could destroy his foe from a distance. Light walked toward Shasha, saying if she didn't fight harder, she would die by his hand. In panic, Shasha tried Ocarina once more, but no angel answered. All had been obliterated by Light's spear, a Genesis class weapon capable of erasing gods. Light then revealed his level 999. Still, Shasha and Mikhail remained arrogant. They believed all Light's attacks were futile because Mikhail possessed a blessed shield. That arrogance crumbled when Light showed he could shatter the shield with ease. Mikhail tried to escape with a teleportation device, but it failed, blocked by Eli's magic. Even then, Mikhail denied reality, clinging to hope that the White Knight commander would save him. Light destroyed that hope by revealing all the White Knights had been defeated by his followers. Instantly, Mikhail's attitude changed. He knelt and begged Light to spare him, even offering a profitable alliance with the Elf Kingdom. He readily discarded Shasha, offering to kill her himself to aid Light's revenge. Light refused firmly. He then ordered Eli to extract information directly from Mikhail's mind. Then it was Shasha's turn. In desperation, she brought up all the kindness she'd once shown Light, but Light knew it was all a lie. In truth, she'd been disgusted by him and would have killed him without hesitation given the chance. Still, Shasha felt no guilt. To earn forgiveness, she even tried to seduce Light, offering her body. Light was not interested. He declared she would suffer immense agony in a state where she could not die, just as Kinagaro had in the abyssal darkness. With that, Light turned and walked forward, returning the arrow once shot at him. But soon after, he suddenly lost consciousness. It seemed he couldn't wield such a deadly weapon for too long. Eli and 3 other entities, also level 999, had sealed the weapon, but Light had broken one seal, and his body was affected by its power. Light awoke before May. His condition worried her, and she urged him to rest until fully recovered. Meanwhile, in the Elf Kingdom, officials panicked as contact with the White Knights was lost. During an emergency meeting, reports came of a dragon flock approaching the city. Soon after, Eli appeared and demanded the Elf Queen take responsibility for sending her subordinates into the tower without permission. Eli ordered the Queen to meet her, threatening to burn the kingdom to ashes. Under escort, the Queen went to meet Eli. At first, she was haughty and looked down on her interlocutor, but Ellie effortlessly killed all her guards and peered into her mind with forbidden magic. After obtaining the information she needed, Eli commanded the Elf Queen to ban all forms of human slavery and declare the absolute sovereignty of humankind. Unable to resist, the Queen finally submitted to the order.